This is a Sports Catastrophe production.
Hey there, how there, ho there. Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe Birthday Boy. And the birthday boy for today, March the 22nd, is a former NBA star who was a Defensive Player of the Year in 2007 and has done a lot of blocking for many teams in the NBA, six, in fact. So he was a pretty good shot blocker at his time in the late 90s, early 2000s, and in the 2000s. His name is Marcus Camby, who now turns 50 years old. Camby was born March 22nd, 1974 in Hartford and would be Connecticut's Player of the Year. So he decided to stay close to Connecticut for his college career, playing 3 seasons for the UMass Minutemen, so the University of Massachusetts in Atlantic 10. He had 105 blocks his freshman year at UMass and was named to the first team in 95, as UMass actually shocked a lot of people by going to the quarterfinals of the NCAA tournament. Danny was given the College Player of the Year award during the 96 season, so he was the best player in all of college basketball. And UMass were the heavy #1 favorites to win the 1996 NCAA tournament. But unfortunately, bad things would happen, and Camby and his team lost in the Final Four. He would have 43 total block shots in 11 games, which was amazing, almost 4 blocks a game. Camby would then announce he would be entering that famous NBA draft class and all of that. Unfortunately, though, UMass's trip to the Final Four was vacated by the NCAA because Camby was found to have accepted $28,000 from 2 sports agents. Camby did reimburse the school for the amount lost on his part, the revenue thing. He was inducted to the UMass Athletic Hall of Fame despite all his problems and making UMass lose its Final Four privileges. Anyway, the stacked 1996 NBA draft beckoned, and Marcus Camby was picked second overall by the Raptors after Philly took Allen Iverson from Georgetown. Camby went to Toronto. He made the all-rookie first team, putting up 2 blocks per game, as he would be wanted to do. Camby actually led the Raptors and the NBA in block shots with 3.7 per game. So he was a good shot blocker. The only problem was injuries would keep him down. So the Raptors decided on draft day 1998 to trade him to New York for Charles Oakley. Camby says it'd be hard to replace Charles Oakley because he was a longtime Knick and fan favorite. For the first few years, Camby was the backup center to Patrick Ewing. The Knicks somehow got the 8th seed in Camby's first season in the league and went on a Cinderella run as they took care of Miami, Atlanta, and Indy to win the Eastern Conference playoffs. Camby would fill the void after Patrick Ewing went down with an Achilles injury in the conference final against Indiana. The Knicks were the 8th seed and they were going to face the San Antonio Spurs for the NBA title, but the Spurs easily took care of the Knicks in 5. Camby had a good season for the Knicks off the bench in 1999-2000, helping the Knicks get to the Eastern Conference Finals, but lost to Indiana in 6 as they got revenge. Camby was given a 5-game suspension for trying to hit Denny Ferry after a scrum. But anyway, Camby would play the best ball of his season after the suspension. And the Knicks shockingly lost to the Raptors in the first round of the playoffs. Camby would spend 2002 being injured a lot, and the Knicks would struggle. Anyway, the Knicks decided to trade Camby, Mark Jackson, and Nene to Denver for Antonio McDyess and Frank Williams on draft day 2002. Camby would take a while to gel with Denver and all that, but led the NBA in block shots for several seasons. Camby was involved in a brawl between the Knicks and the Nuggets involving Carmelo Anthony. He was ejected from the game but no suspension. Fortunate for him, that was the year that he won the 2007 Defensive Player of the Year award. And it was just amazing what he could do. Like, he was tops in blocks per game, 3.3, fifth in rebounds, 11.7, second in defensive rebounds per game, and steals per game, he was second among centers. Camby posted up a good 2008 season. And all that. Camby was then traded from the Nuggets to the Clippers in July 2008. Camby said he was not happy being traded from the Nuggets, thinking that he was the scapegoat for the lack of postseason success and all that. However, he said he would put it behind him, and he started power forward for the Clippers. But then Camby went back to center after Chris Kaman got injured, who was the main center for the Clippers. After a few years with the Clip, he was traded to Portland for Steve Blake and $1.5 million in cash. He played for Portland in 2010, trying to get them to the playoffs. They did lose the first round to Oklahoma City. He signed a few-year deal with the Blazers to stay there, so he stayed for a couple years. And then at the trade deadline in March 2012, he was traded to Houston for Hassim to beat Johnny Flynn in a second-round draft pick. He would finish the 2012 season with Houston, and then was traded to the Knicks on a sign-and-trade deal, which had the Rockets pick up some bench players and all that. Unfortunately, he would have a plantar fasciitis in his left foot and only played 24 games. Camby was actually in the big trade in July 2013 with the Raptors, in which Camby, Steve Novak, Quentin Richardson, a first-round pick and 2 second-round picks were traded to the Raptors for Andrea Bargnani. The line of Andrea Bargnani, who was a former number 1 draft pick. Raptors bought out Camby's contract. Camby re-signed with the Rockets, but couldn't play for them and retired. So did his career with Toronto, New York, Denver, Clippers, Portland, and Houston. He had played 973 games, 9.5 points per game, 2.4 blocks per game, 9.8 rebounds per game. So he was known for his blocking. In the playoffs, he had some playoff appearances for Denver, trying to help him out. All that. Only twice had he been on a playoff team that went past the first round. So he went through 79 playoff games with 7.5 points per game, 1.9 blocks, and 9 assists per game. So Camby was just snake bitten after 2000. Anyway, he was still named Defensive Player of the Year in 2007. He actually won that award, but was not named to the All-NBA first, second, or even third teams. He went to a lot of charities with the Denver organization. All that. Anyway, it was huge for Marcus Camby to be there. Like, he was the second first round draft pick of the Raptors in history. And everyone thought that he would be a fixture with the Raptors. After all, they made him number 2 in the draft. But unfortunately, injuries would hurt him, and he did better for New York and Denver outside of Toronto. But still, he's a good player. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond.